Good day and welcome to a new update in which we're going to discuss the current downward trend of Bitcoin. There's still a lot of weakness in the markets and we have been covering a crucial level last week that you should be holding or looking at, which we currently have lost. So what is next? Well, there's tons of stuff that we should be discussing. And that's what we're going to do in this update. But before we're going to continue, make sure to subscribe beneath and like this YouTube update and check out my Twitter and Instagram where you can find daily content on the markets. I'm providing that mostly on Twitter, and on Instagram I'm providing my day-to-day life. And my day-to-day life, I've been traveling for a month going towards conferences, and I can see that the fundamental growth of the community or the growth in itself is expanding quite heavily. Also, lots of glory hunters, of course, but overall, the crypto markets are evolving or developing itself towards a mature market, and that's also what we have been seeing during the past weekend, in which another country has signed Bitcoin as a legal tender. The CAR in Africa, Central African Republic, has been saying that they will be using Bitcoin as a legal tender, or approve Bitcoin as a legal tender. We also already know from Bitcoin Miami that Honduras, Madeira and Mexico are also busy with creating that or trying to do that. So it's like a snowball going downhill from the mountain, in which one country started it with El Salvador and more countries are following up during this year. And I think that next year and onwards, more and more countries will be doing that as the fundamental growth will be heavier and heavier. However, what can we see as a difference? Well, there are always two topics. The one with fundamental growth, which is the case of the new countries or adopting Bitcoin. And then you've got the price discussion, which can be out of balance heavily. And in this case, we are getting ourselves into a period of time where the price is probably continuing to drop, or at least stabilizing, or not doing what we should be expecting it to do when fundamental news comes in. So the fundamental adoption is actually going upwards while the price is lagging behind. And that is the period where you are going to create the best opportunities to actually invest into projects or into assets that you should be having in your portfolio. Right now we are seeing that Bitcoin is correcting more and more. Also, equities are correcting more and more. And the question is, why is that? Well, we're still in a very shaky market at this point. And then the inflation is still quite high, which will probably be staying there. And we also know that the Fed is going to hike the interest rates some more. And they are expecting it to do it in May with 50 bips. Now, what is the ultimate solution to actually reverse the markets at this point? I think ultimately it goes towards the Fed again. If the Fed sees that the markets are correcting heavily and the economy is slowing down too much because of panic in the markets, they could be slowing down the quantitative tightening at this point, and that would be a result of additional strength on the markets, or it could be giving the market some hope or giving the market some free space again. If they continue to push with this environment at this point, it seems very likely that the risk-on assets are continue to drop down even more. Why? Well, the dollar is still showing strength. We thought we had a bearish divergence. It reversed and it invalidated there. And the dollar is still showing that massive strength because of the Fed wanting to use quantitative tightening to increase the strength of the dollar, which is currently giving the emerging markets some serious pain. We see the Chinese yuan dropping down heavily, but also smaller countries are seeing some heavy pain out of that. So it's all relying on the dollar, and that's why we can see that the interest, or like the correlation between the dollar and the Bitcoin is almost close to -1, and the correlation between Bitcoin and the tech stocks is close to 1 at this point, which means that the week that is coming ahead, or that's coming in front of us, is going to be very important. We're going to have earnings season for all the big tech companies. And we saw Netflix last week, and probably we're going to have some hard time with the other earnings from this week too. So it's a very uncertain and insecure market. It's heavily relying on what the Fed is going to do. And because of that, being relatively cautious in those markets is not a bad option to do so. So let's head towards the charts and see what we could be expecting from Bitcoin and which levels I'm watching if I want to become interested into the markets at this point. So we have been discussing some important levels when it comes to the price action of Bitcoin. We have been clearly stating that we've had to break through 42k if you want to see continued momentum here, right? And then we stated that this level at 39 is pretty much the one that I want to look at if we want to get some responses or at least want to become bullish. We did get a response, but not the one that we were seeking for, as this entire smaller time frame range actually ended up by another correction south. And now the importance comes out of the, let's say, daily time frame, in which the daily time frame is giving me still an area of support, which is this entire block that we have here, right? We are currently acting in it. So this entire block that we have here is the one that we should be looking at when it comes to potential support. So this entire block, that is where I'm seeking for support at this stage. And that is still a level that we could be seeing as a potential reversal pattern. As long as we stay here, it's fine. But this is the daily area that we should be holding. If we crack through 39.2, the likelihood of upwards momentum is going to increase, as then the gates are open towards a test at 43.5, as there's not much in between. So when it comes to getting into the markets, yes, the trend is south and the sentiment is flipping negative quite heavily. And when we're going to lose this entire green block here, it's probably going to cascade south even more. So the cascade is going to bring us all the way back towards potentially 34k. But even more, we got this daily area here around 30k that I'm going to target, as we all are going to take out those lows here, which ultimately results into a heavy downwards correction. At this point, we are bouncing back up. We might be creating some levels here, but nothing is certain yet. I think that if you want to get into the market, clearly breaking and flipping 39k is going to be a trigger for continuation here. And that is actually what I should be looking at if I want to get into the markets at this point. So it's shaky, and the daily time frame is not looking too great. If we're looking at the total market cap, we can still conclude that we are holding a crucial level here for support. So the same goes on for the total market cap. If the total market cap holds 1.7t, we are still making a higher low here, which could induce further upwards momentum on the markets. However, same conclusion can be drawn here. If we can't break above 1.8t, which is this breaker, it seems very likely that we're going to have further downwards momentum. So in a sense, if we have a bounce, drop back down, make a bullish divergence, and then we start making a higher low and continue moving, that will be a trigger, as then we most likely are going to get ourselves towards 2t. Conclusion of this small update. Right now we are getting a slight bounce of Bitcoin, which is great, but we're still acting beneath 39.3. So 39.3 is the level that we should be breaking, and the level of that's actually a crucial one to break this downward trend. If we want to conclude from investment basis, we are currently on the final hurdle of support. And if we are going to lose this, I think that we're going to have a heavy continuation south. Then finally, the expectations are with tech at this point that we're going to have a painful week. Could be, but we can also see that the DXY is still accelerating quite fast. The point here is that we had this bearish divergence taking place, and it can still be taking place if we're going to reverse here. We concluded in the past week that the area to bounce from is 99.7, which we did. We also broke through 100.6, and now we're seeing acceleration up. If we look at the lower time frames, there's a crucial level that we should be holding on to. It's the level that we have at 101.3. If that one breaks, I think we're going to have another swift downwards break. And if the ECB is going to increase their quantitative tightening, or is going to start, I think the dollar is going to make some downward momentum here too, because everyone is flying into the dollar, as that is the most strong currency at this point. So this is the one to watch. The tech stocks is one to watch too. And that is probably what we're going to face in the coming week. And I think that higher time frame based, Bitcoin is still an area of interest at this point. Other altcoins are showing a bit more weakness. Ethereum has been breaking south, currently into an area of support still, which is this entire zone on the 4-hour time frame, but also has to crack a few important levels if it wants to continue moving. That's the update for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. If there is something very important, I'll be back later today. Don't forget to subscribe beneath, and I'll see you again soon.